Hello, Keith Rucker here, VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we're back working on the metal planer restoration, and I'm going to be continuing on with some scraping of the bottom ways. Had a video we put out last week where we started this process, and going to be continuing on. Got a lot of scraping to do to get this done. So just to kind of catch you up in case you did miss that previous video, we went in here. This machine's been leveled, it's been ground, all the ways were ground. I came in here, just put a crosshatch pattern on here, and then we took the actual table, which has also been previously ground, inked it up, and we did our first print. And after that, I've got my high spots in here, and right now what we're going to be doing is getting the Biax power scraper back out, and we're going to start hitting these high spots until we get good contact all the way across here. I will mention that we are using the table here as a master. It has the V-ways that match the planer bed. These were ground together, so they should be pretty darn close to begin with. And based on what I'm seeing here, we are very, very close. But we're going to do some little fine tuning with the scraping and get it just right. The length of the whole bed is about 10 feet long. The length of the table that goes on top is about 8 feet long. So we got about 2 feet on the end that's not getting printed. So we're going to have to kind of swap back and forth in our prints to kind of balance things out and get everything down in one plane. So shouldn't be a problem. Ideally, you would have a master reference surface that was the entire length or longer, but we got the vast majority of it here. Very, very easy to do this using a little bit shorter master. So that's the game plan. I'm going to fire the Biax up. We're going to get in here. Let me show you first kind of the high spots we got, and then we're going to knock those down. And as in scraping, it's just a process. You glue it up, you ink it up, you see where your high spots are, you knock those high spots down, and you do the process over and over and over again until you get good coverage, good contact all the way up and down the part. Let's get at it. Just a shot here kind of showing you what we got. So I knew previously from testing this with an auto collimator that we're high, we got a little bit of a dip, we're high here, and we got a little bit of a dip really back down here. And the print is showing that pretty well. So we've got contact here. You notice it's mostly on the outside, so this outside and this outside, which tells me that we need to widen it out just a little bit to get it to drop down to come in contact on this interface here. As you come down through here, I got a couple little areas where we got some blue or black here that's hitting it. Once we get down here, it's kind of the opposite. I'm showing more hitting on the insides and not on the outsides. And this is tiny, tiny differences. I'm actually getting some contact on both sides in here, but it's printing heavier on the inside. So, we're probably within a few 10,000ths of an inch of having this thing really where it needs to be. So my game plan is we're going to come in here, we're going to hit the areas of contact where it's hitting here, and I'm probably not even going to touch the middle right now. It's printing so light in there, I'm not even going to worry about it. And then once we get over here, kind of hit the inside areas to see if we can straighten things out a little bit, and then we'll bring we'll blue things back up, come over, take another print, and then go through here. So let's fire up the Biax and get to work. All right, we're starting kind of light here. It gets heavier, it gets down. I'm just going to kind of come in here. You can really see where that contrast, this is what I really like. You can tell that contrast is where you scraped previously and where you're scraping now. If you didn't have that red on there, you wouldn't be able to see this as well. I think what I'm going to do over here is just go ahead and go back across that area to put my crosshatch on it, just to keep things even. We're still kind of in the roughing stage here. We're not by any means doing anything fine at this point in time, so I'm not against double scraping here until we get a little bit closer. All right, we're going to hit over here. Most of this is kind of down in that bottom, so we'll come across this. And I'll go ahead and come back across it the other way, just like we did the other side. All right, when we get down here, it's more on the inside, so I'm going to be leaning over and catching some of these. This side's mostly again down in that very bottom. Come back the other way. Crosshatch on these. I'm really rough in here, guys. I'm not trying to be super picky about what I'm hitting. I know these areas are probably going to have even more taken off of them. We're just trying to get it knocked down to a point where we start getting better contact. Once we get better contact, then we'll focus on hitting spots and really going for what we're after in the end. All right, I think we've got our high spots knocked out, so let me get this cleaned up. I'm going to get all those shavings out of there. We'll get the ink out. I'm going to stone it with my precision ground flat stones, re-put a contrast in here, and we'll come in and ink it up again. All right, I think we're ready to bring this over and do our other side, or re-blue it, re-ink it. I've got everything cleaned up over here. I've got my contrast on the table, on the base rather. Make sure that's going to clear. Go up just a little bit more. I'm going to bring this back over and drop it back down in place. All right, lid down on it. Now, yep, we're all the way down in there. And I'm going to use my pulleys over here again. I got a mechanical advantage to slide these tables back and forth just using the rack system built into the bottom. So we'll rub it back and forth a time or two. That's probably good. Back up with the table. Yeah, I got better coverage this time. All right, let's see what we got. Show you what we got again. So again, printing real heavy on the end and printing kind of heavy down on this end, which again is unexpected, or is not unexpected, because that is again what we saw when we mapped out these ways. So, but I'm making much better contact this time. I've actually spread out my distribution. Still not there. It's probably going to take me several more passes of this to get it done. But game plan here is I'm going to come in here, we're going to hit the high spots. I'm still kind of in a roughing mode, so I'm going to be hitting them kind of heavy, and until we start picking up some contact. Right now I'm a little bit light kind of in this area, generally from about here to here and about here. Well, it's picking up down there, so it's really kind of right in here. So I got a little bit of a belly, but again, that is what we saw when we shot this with the auto collimator. So I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time showing you guys the same thing over and over and over again. It's basically rinse and repeat what I've already shown you. But I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and do this a couple of cycles. We'll bring you back in a little bit, show you our progress as we move along. After I scrape this past, probably on the next one, I'm going to print it on this end, just to make sure we're not biasing anything. I expect to see something very similar over here where this end's going to be high. There's going to be a little bit of a gap in here, and we're going to pick back up here in the middle. But I want to kind of bring both ends down at the same time, and until we get good coverage from one end to the other. So I'll bring you back as we get a little bit closer. May bring you back when we get totally there, but kind of show you an in between, and then bring you back when we get through. I got my work cut out for me today. So kind of tell you where we're at right now. I have already made about 5 passes on this where we brought it over, we'd ink it up, we'd scrape it off, go back and forth. So I did 2 times where I brought it down here on this end of the machine. I did 2 times down on this end of the machine, and the last time I did it, I actually brought it in, and using the pulley, I ran it all the way down and all the way back. So I really kind of made a long run, and we're making progress. Right now, we're probably got about 50% of the area of the ways are showing some type of contact. When I first started, it was probably only about 10%. So, we're definitely getting closer and closer each and every pass. I'm getting ready to do another one here. I'm going to sweep it the entire direction back and forth, and we'll see what it looks like. I'm going to try something different. That last time I cranked this thing by hand to move my table, got a little wheel on a drill here. I'm hoping that I can just put this down on here and turn it. Let's see how it goes. It may be too much. It ain't gonna work. Oh well, it was worth trying. I had a wheel laying around the shop. So, do it manually. So I'm gonna make sure I go out here to the end, get all the way off the end on this end. And I am about 2 inches off. And I'm going to run the table all the way down the other end. I'm going to kind of walk you down through here. What I'm seeing is we're making decent contact. Now I got a lot of smearing going on in here, which means that area is probably making a very good contact. Comes out down here a little bit thinner, but what's important is we're hitting in a lot of areas. Maybe just a little bit light in there. It's hitting at the top all right. Really good contact there. And on out the end. That side looks good. Come to the inside again. That's probably, I'd like to do better, but that's probably fine. Again, we got some smearing going on here, which probably means really good contact. Looks good all the way down through here. Even that is adequate. Get that focused. All right. Now what's interesting though is on the ways on this side is that we're getting contact down in the bottom, but it's not going all the way up the sides. See that? And it's pretty much that way all the way down. And you get on the back side back here, very similar story. So I just wanted you to kind of see this. We are getting really, really close. I mean, guys, I'm not shooting for 40 points of contact here on such a long surface like this. Even if I only get 5 or 10 points of contact per inch, I'm happy. And we're actually pretty close to that. So what's the game plan? I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually not even going to touch the ways on this side because, like I said, I'm happy. We've got, if I can keep that level of contact all the way up and down here on this side, I'm good. I'm hitting about, I don't know, about halfway up, maybe about between a third and a half the way up on this side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my scraper and we're going to kind of scrape that bottom side on these two ways on this side and see if I can get it to kind of drop down in there just a little bit more. We're really close because I'm even seeing some points of contact up high. It's just not a lot. So with any luck, another pass or two taking that bottom out over there, we'll drop it down. And like I said, if I can have it looking like it does on this side, on the other side, we're going to call it good and go on. We're really close. So I'm going to get the scraper out, do some more scraping, and we'll bring you back once we get a good print. Hopefully it won't take too many cycles. Well, guys, I just made my 8th pass on this, and I am feeling really good about where we're at. I've got coverage from one end to the other. There is still a few light areas in here, but everywhere I'm getting contact. This inside on this side, it looks pretty good from end to end. The ways on this side over here, when I showed you before, I was maybe about a third of the way up. I'm going to say on average about 2/3 of the way up now. And in spots, I'm hitting the top all the way down. I'm to a point right now where I'm just going to have to quit on it for a while because I'm about to go out of town for work for pretty much this whole next week. And I've got to get things wrapped up out here in the shop and get in the house. I think I'm going to clean all this stuff up and we'll come back and probably make a few more passes on it when I get back in town next week. But right now, I honestly believe that I could probably just leave this thing like it is and it would be perfectly fine. It would be perfectly fine, but at the same time, I think I can make it a little bit better, and I'm going to shoot for a little bit better. So we'll come back next week, and I probably won't even show it on video, guys. You've kind of seen where we're at, but there is a little bit more work to do on this, but I do need to wrap this one up so that I can get on the road and get this video out to you guys this week while I am on the road. So very happy with where we're at. Up next on this is going to be after I finish probably another, I'm guessing 2 more passes. I'm done. But after that, it's going to be we'll start having to scrape the ways on the top. And right now, I'm a little bit on the fence whether I just leave that cast iron on cast iron and scrape that in. I'm really kind of leaning toward putting turkite on the bottom strips over here. It'll just give me a little bit better wear surface. It'll be easier to scrape in. And honestly, a big reason that I'm thinking about doing that is that, this thing's going to get wear, but having that turkite on there, the wear will happen on the turkite and not on the bed. And if by chance I ever use this machine enough over the next however many years that it needs to be tuned up, it's just a simple matter of stripping the turkite off, putting new turkite on. I've still got a good bed over here. This part right here won't be damaged, and I can go back then and tune it back up down the road if I need to. Honestly, this machine will probably never see enough use to ever have to go through a rebuild like I'm doing on it right now. You know, this is a hobby shop. It's not like this thing's going to be being ran, you know, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week or anything like that. It's just going to be used intermittently. And so anyway, I'm going to think about that, but that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, is putting Turkite on the ways on the top and letting it go. But I'm stoked, I'm happy. I think we've made a lot of progress here. Everything looks great, and we're getting ready to move on and get the top scraped in, and then we can start putting the rest of this thing back together. And with that, that's gonna be a wrap, guys. Hope you have enjoyed seeing this process. I know I've kind of been bringing you in and out, and you haven't seen every single detail, but I've done a lot of scraping videos. If you want more information on scraping, check back and look at some of my earlier videos where I go into more detail about the whole process. So if you're trying to learn it, you can kind of see some of the more basics in what's going on, but you got to see a lot of it in action right here. So moving on, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Comments are appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And guys, we'll catch you on the next video.